Hello everyone, it's Eon here. It's time to do our 3D print and preview for the month of July 2024. I've changed up the font for fantasy there, and if you have any thoughts about that, let me know in the comments below. We're going to start with Artisan Guild. Artisan Guild is bringing the Black Crag Orcs in the month of July. So we can see some various miniatures here. I believe that is a Manticore. You can kind of see the tail behind the rider there. They have female characters as well and shamans. And then we have some more melee characters too. I'm not sure what to call these beasts for lack of a better term, but there they are. And some terrain. Arbiter Miniatures is another fantasy group that I like to keep tabs on, and their Patreon's still relatively new. For the month of July, they're going to be doing kobolds, and so here's just a couple of kobolds that you can preview. One with basically a bear trap, and another here with pretty primitive slingshot, I would say. Next up, we have Archvillain Games. Archvillain Games has both fantasy and sci-fi releases, and obviously we're focusing on the fantasy release here. And they also chose, like Artisan Guild, to do orcs. They are doing Orc Legacy, Wrath of the Grimscorn. So you can see here Korgorl Boduluk. I'm probably mispronouncing that. I'm not sure what he's riding. It is not an elephant. Kind of like a troll. And then we see the Gong Beast Rider. We see the Koltar on the left and the Vormog Witch on the right. Again, Archvillain Games has definitely their own unique style. Here we see War Chief Azrakal and Ascalor Warseeker. These are, I believe, characters from their RPG components. And then we see Nasahir the Masked. Here we see a Korgorl Gorog 1 and Model 2. Model 3s and 4. Next up we have the Korgorl Gut Splitters. And then we have the Korgorl Nokjuka. And the Korgorl Varrock. Poor one there's lost a hand. And then we have cavalry sorts. We have the Wargawk. And that brings us to an end for the preview for Archvillain Games' fantasy release. Next up, we have Bite the Bullet. Bite the Bullet is doing a July release for Dungeon Underdark, and a lot of classic miniatures if you like bringing your characters down deeply into the Underdark here. This is not a very high quality image. It is a preview, so we're going to clip past it to something that's a little bit better quality. So we can see several different types of myconoids or fungoids. We have some intellect devourers and a roper. We have some dark dwarves of a sort and a hook horror. And for those of you that like the bigger miniatures, they have a chunky dragon as well. And there's a few other things that they have as well, but this is a preview, so we'll possibly come back and look at these in the review. Cast and Play is always prolific. They have not released a full list yet, but if you look at their Instagram, Volume 2 Townsfolk will be coming out. And so they have some painted miniatures that they have posted, and I look forward to that. I'm always a big fan of NPCs. That's why I'm such a big fan of STL miniatures, as they often do that as well. So Cast and Play has a very unique style, which I really enjoy. Epic Miniatures has already previewed their first of usually 2 updates for the month, and update number 1 is going to be a Faith Defender. Again, this is a preview, so I don't want to show every single thing, so we're not going to show every single sculpt. Many of these, not the church here, but many of these have multiple sculpts. So we see the White God avatar over on the right, and we have what's called a Holy Font. Looks kind of like a flying elephant. Here on the left, we see a medieval cleric monk, and on the right, we have a Planetar angel. We see a fallen bishop over on the right, and on the left, we have a holy serpent. Not necessarily have to be evil. Here we see an astral diva on the left, perhaps pointing her sword at the possessed nun. And with characters like Possessed Nun, the fact that they can do 3 sculpts is where you really start to get some interesting things. But again, we'll look at those in the review. Here we see a white priest over on the left with a Planetar female angel on the right. And the final miniature that they will have for this part, we skipped a few other as well, is a True Angel. This is an angel as they are described literally in the Bible. Next up, we have Highlands Miniatures, and they are going to be doing Eternal Dynasties. So kind of your classic desert undead characters. And so this is pretty much the main previews they have shown so far. Hopefully they'll have a few more pictures released that we can view once we get into the month of July. But it's a good preview. Next up is The Printing Goes Ever On, and unfortunately, as I was looking for this, the previews will post on their website on Friday, June 28th, which will be after I've recorded this and after I've probably posted it. Next up is STL Miniatures, and they have done a Witches Council set. And so there's a table with lots of goodies on it. There's a very cool and characterful house. I know I use that word quite a lot, but I really like aesthetic pieces like this. And you can see up in the front several of the witches as well. The cool thing about this house is that it does come apart so that you can actually interact with the model itself. And there's more pictures to this, but again, we'll look at those in the review, not so much in the preview. Now, the other thing with STL Miniatures that they've been doing as well, instead of just giving you sets, they also give you miniatures that are specifically designed for use in miniature agnostic games. These 2 miniatures are an Acris bird and a Shadow Knight, and these come from them expanding the bestiary for their Frost City. Which is for a game that has a similar name. Little by little, they're completing the list and they're working on it. So they have a couple of sculpts of the bird as well. For their Rangers of Shadow Deep Bestiary, they have released a Flesh Golem as well. So here's a Flesh Golem. Looks like he's missing a couple of toes, poor fellow. I actually like that. I actually think that makes a lot of sense. And so they are going to be doing a Kickstarter very soon for Rangers. And so this is probably a good preview of the type of work that you can get from Rangers of Shadow Deep. This shows a little bit more of the terrain and some of the miniatures. You'll notice there are several different types of characters here for the Witches Council. And just to kind of zoom in on those a little bit, you can see a couple of them. Kind of get a Rita Repulsa vibe from the one on the left. Next up, we have Titan Forge Miniatures, and Titan Forge is done with the domes, and so now they've moved on to wizards, and they are continuing with their Chaos Warriors, for lack of a better term, as well as the RPG corner over there. You'll notice that the top miniatures in the RPG corner show the 3 different sculpts of the various characters there. So for their Chaos Warriors, we see some cavalry with some pretty hefty mounts. Almost like a Baba Yaga type character, I would dare to say. And then we have the mounts without a rider, and we see some, mutated characters of various sorts, one with a big mouth, one with a couple of heads. With the wizards, we have I believe this is a golem of sorts, all the different elements kind of combined, and we have like a lightning wizard here, very cool, classic-looking wizard, and we can see those two go together in pretty awesome miniatures. The things like this Titan Forge that has me every month. Here we see some of their characters as well, so maybe we could probably pull some of these over to the Witches' Council as well. We have apparently a orangutan or a chimp that is magically inclined, so it would appear, as well as some, basically some golems, I guess. They have multiple wizards that are available, some of which are on, those are hippogriffs, aren't they? Those are hippogriffs, not griffins. Might be griffins. I'm confusing myself. We see some familiars. You can't have wizards without the opportunity for familiars. And for their RPG kind of releases, again, they usually release 3 different heroes. All of them seem to be female wizards in this case. And then we have a couple of characters on the left, a couple of werewolves, and some sort of ogre, it would appear. And their throwback, their time shift release is what they would call it, is Barbarians. So this is a November release from a previous year that they'll be releasing as well. So if you didn't catch that one before, you'll have access to it now. One-page rules, I know that's not alphabetical, but I like to kind of leave them towards the end because they are kind of what a lot of this is all about, in my opinion. They are the miniatures agnostics. You see there is a work in progress with the beast. They are continuing with their Shadow Stalkers. Shadow Stalkers, not Night Stalkers. These are very unique faction. I've never seen quite a group like this. But you can see all the different miniatures they have there. They are also continuing to release for their Age of Fantasy quest. And again, they are really pushing this. They've really just done the big release for this. This is an undead paladin. Not exactly sure how that works. Can he turn himself? I haven't read the rules for Age of Fantasy Quest, just thinking of classic D&D. And then they have some terrain that has been released as well. I like the bushes and such. Again, I believe this is intended for resin printing. So always lots of fantasy things to post about and look at. We'll come back and look at these in more detail soon. And if you know of anyone, again, that you feel like I've missed out on, how could you not talk about this Patreon? How could you not talk about this tribe? Please put a link down in the comments below or just mention by name and I'll go check them out and see if there's something that I can find. Again, can't always find everything out there. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you in July when we review the Patreons once they have released a little bit more information. Talk to you soon.